is up, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, day traders, plus swing traders. Hope you guys are doing absolutely fantastic. Hope you guys are feeling a little bit better than AMD, but more specifically, hopefully, you guys are feeling a little bit better than SMCI today, just as of 3 minutes ago. So we'll see what's happening. We'll see what's happening. But we got Albert House. Good morning to you. Good morning to Andy, Bill, Cindy, Corey D. Good morning to George, Georgia. Good morning to Greg, Jay, Joe, John, Lucian, Marius in the house. Good morning to you, Martina, Rob, Tim, all my people out on YouTube land. Good morning to all you guys. Make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe button. We got E Queen in the house. Good morning. We got M Sky, Clarice. We got Fitz, Anthony. Good morning. Yeah, little bit of a down day for some stocks. Even overall markets, which we're kind of rallying on the Google earnings. So Google's up. Reddit was up a lot. AMD, pretty good earnings. Not really that bad. Just a high bar to beat. So that added a little pressure into some of the chip sector, a little bit to Nvidia, a little bit to Qualcomm. But I think Qualcomm had some different reasons we're down. But overall, we held up pretty decent. We even rallied a little bit overnight, and right now you got that pressure coming right back in. So if we're opening right around here on SPY, I'm looking for probably somewhere around 581.62. I would look for that to be some type of resistance. We'll see if we can get out. But it looks like there is a little bit of selling pressure in the market. And then we also have 579.36 as our support. So I'd see if that one could hold. We did hit that one yesterday, so I think it's a little bit easier to break through it. That being said, you got your 20 EMA on a daily, somewhere around 577.85. And then really that last VPOC that we got to hold is 577.42. So we've got a little bit of pressure to the downside. We'll see if we end up hitting that 577.42. If we close anywhere down there below the 20, it's not a terrific sign. We haven't had a close below the 20 since I guess the last day was September 9th. So we've gone over a month without closing below it. So we'll see. We'll see what happens on today's close. I think that's going to be important. And then we got a lot of earnings coming in today. So again, until we get through this week and even some of next week, the markets can be a little bit jumpy. Let's take a look at Qs. Qs, we got still hanging out a little bit more to the bullish side. I'm going to have to attribute that mostly to probably Google, I would assume. And then we also had Snapchat too. Not that that's going to add too much to the Qs, but more so I think helped push Meta up a little bit higher too. So Meta obviously a little bit more influence on the Qs. Meta does report today. Snapchat was still it wasn't. They still lost money. They haven't made money almost ever, but the report wasn't as bad as usual. So I guess there's a little sympathy on that one. But that did say, okay, we got some revenue coming in from Snapchat on the advertising side. So you got to look at Meta and go, well, if Snapchat can do it, you would hope that Meta can do it as well. So I think you got a little sympathy overnight. So I think between the two of them, enough to push the markets higher. You got 502.26 is resistance on the Qs. We did not hit that yesterday. I'd still look for that for my resistance. Again, overnight we did rally. Got some pressure coming in today, early morning. So 497.84 would be my support. That's the first spot I want to look at. Yep, SMCI currently in death mode. So I think about 6 minutes ago they did. I think Ernst and Young was their auditor who just threw the towel in and they said we quit. We don't want to deal with this. So they're getting clobbered. So I do have some bullish positions. That's and I'm broke. Yeah, so I'm gonna get wiped out on SMCI. I was hoping we could hold probably this 39.44 zone, something like that. But yeah, news like that. And the next spot, so again, we do have a little bit of volume, somewhere around 33.74. It's not a lot. I was saying this for a while too. I thought we had earnings coming a little sooner, so it was more of an earnings play than anything. But really the next spot I'm looking for, providing that we could break down this 33.74, we've got a lot of room still to the downside. That would take us to 26.40. You still have at least I don't know if shady is the correct word, but we do have no clarity on what is happening with the accounting practice. We've had the Hindenburg report come out a little while ago. They tried to rally that $50 mark. And that's why I was like, hey, you know what? We could get above some of that volume, and then you get some decent earnings coming out. You have a lot of room to push. But obviously, this being your stop side of it, not a lot of support. All that volume to your backside. So they gotta. I don't at this point. I don't even know if the earnings really help until you get the clarity. Because even if they come out with good earnings, the question is who's trusting them. I don't know. I don't know. They bailed on governance and transparency. Yeah, it's not a good look. It's not a good look. At least throws a lot of questions out there. So we'll see if SMCI and I talked to my brother-in-law a week ago, and he's not a stock guy. He's definitely he owns his own like tech company. I was like, texting him, was like, hey, you still use SMCI chips? He's like, yeah, no, they're solid companies. I know they're down, but they're solid. So they do sell products. They people in the industry like them, but that's the thing, Tim. They might have already delayed earnings. I had on TradingView that they were supposed to report yesterday, and then as it got closer, now it got moved to November 4th. And even on this November 4th, a lot of times on TradingView, when you click this thing, you see like a little either sunshine for happy mornings or a nighttime little moon. They still haven't put out like what time. So I still think, and this is what was kind of showing for the report for yesterday. So I don't know. I don't know if this November 4th is even legit. So I don't. I think they are delaying it. So I don't know. They're gonna need something. I really there's only one thing that they need. That's some clarity on the books. They need to come out, reassure everybody that it's fine. But when you have your auditor just bouncing, I don't know if that's a I don't know if that's the best sign. So we'll see what happens on SMCI. But yeah, the calls are pretty much shot in the foot. And then shares, I'll probably get out. I don't even think this is a buy the dip. There is some room to the downside. I think it's just if you have shares, I think it's you're just kind of I'm gonna just bail where I could, and that's it. Call it a day. Sometimes it happens in the market. So see, yeah, so I saw that report too. 11:20 at 4:20. First of all, interesting time. Who's hosting their earnings? Elon? But yeah, I don't know. 11:20 now. I saw from anywhere from like November 4th to the 10th, and I don't know, it's all over the place. People that played AMD and SMCI are having rough mornings. Yeah, so let's take a look at AMD. Again, on this one, I don't think the report was that bad. I don't realistically, they're still showing growth. So earnings, you got they reported 6.8 billion. The quarter before that, 5.8 billion. The quarter before that, 5.47. They're still growing. I do think it's a good competitor to Nvidia, although it's not even close. Nvidia is by far the leader. But even if you're putting them in a small percentage in terms of like, okay, they could capture a decent market share, and everybody's expecting Nvidia to continue to grow. I think there's still buy the dip opportunities on AMD. I think today at Open presents us, and I think Lisa Su, I believe, was on CNBC this morning. I don't know if she is, but somewhere around 9 a.m. I think. So maybe she could pump it up if she has not been on yet. Otherwise, for today, we said this actually yesterday too. If we're opening in this zone where we didn't really move too much since the swing room yesterday, but I've still got my 200 at 152.88. I don't think that's a horrific spot to try to buy some shares if you believe in AMD long term. Otherwise, obviously, I think if you're getting anywhere past 152.33, I think having some protective puts on your position, you come down a little bit lower, especially if now, let's say, Nvidia's bar is too high, Nvidia comes down, that's still not another opportunity to take everything down. So it's not like the best price in the world, like, oh my gosh, I need to get some shares of AMD here. But for a day trade purpose, it's not a horrible spot for a bounce. I don't know if we hold. Even Nvidia was kind of getting taken down on the SMCI news. So I don't know. There's definitely a little concern. Maybe we got to get through all the way through earnings, all the way through Nvidia, and then I think maybe you have a bigger buy the dip opportunity. In a long term, we were still looking at almost a little bit of inverted head and shoulders, a little bit. I think the market kind of like that, and so far though, I don't think that's playing out. But maybe a mini double bottom. You still got some hope as a bull, I think. That being said, lots of volume coming in yesterday, the day before that, good amount of volume, okay volume the day before that. So you're trapping 3 days in a row of bulls. I would want to probably give this one a little bit of time out of the gate, see if you get any closing past that 152.33, and then if you do like to the downside, and then I think you go short on it, and that's probably your day trade, knowing that we are still indeed trapping some bulls on this one. There were some people bullish into that. Where would you sell puts on? It's too high to sell. Let me answer that question differently. My question is, where would you like to own AMD? So I if we start breaking, I mean, if we're looking at the volume zones down here, there is Lisa Sue's on now. All right, let's see if we get a little pump on AMD here. But I think to the downside again, if we start breaking that pivot, we start breaking down that 152.33. I think your next spot probably takes you into 146.96. But realistically, there's room all the way back to like 138.57. If it's something that you're like, hey, and I think even at this current price we're standing now, my guess is in 10 years from now, we're probably at a higher price. If the entire industry is growing, AMD is definitely, I think, the second, and again, not even close to where Nvidia's at, but I think it's a valid choice. I don't think you're going to go wrong. I think the price will be higher. So I to address the first part, yeah, I think buying the dip makes sense. I don't know if this is enough dip yet. Let's see if it comes down to this 138.81, and then you may be trying to sell some 130 puts. Maybe you're trying to sell some 120s if things get really bad with Nvidia earnings. But be comfortable where, especially with Nvidia coming out, and we still have some time on that one. But if they miss, or even if they beat, but just not by a lot, you're going to see probably a round two on AMD on the sell off. But then I think you sell some covered calls. I think you could maneuver around the position. So just be comfortable at that price. For me, 152 is still a little bit on the higher end. Again, we had a catastrophic push bullish at one point to 228. So there is some room to the higher side if we could get there. But I think that's going to take some time. This might have been a little overvalued push on excitement for AMD. So little bit of a squeeze. Actually, that probably goes back to the TTM squeeze that was setting up right there too. So I'd want it a little bit lower. For me, I'd say, okay, let's see if we could break down this 200, be patient, and then start selling. But a really strong bounce spot, really somewhere around the first one, probably about 117, 118, 107.50. Like if you give me those prices, sign me up all day. Do we get down there? I'm not sure. You do have a bounce spot somewhere around 138. How much time you want to give those puts that you're selling, I think would also depend on it. But I would let it come, see if it comes a little bit lower on this dip. For day trade though, I'm not opposed to actually trying it bullish. I think you actually have some decent risk reward. Maybe for 1.2. I don't know how much I want to hold on to it. We will see. All right, let me see if we missed some tickers in the chat. And I think, yep, we got Dell. Dell is up on the news. Dell's like, now we got you. Gotcha. Uh yeah, Dell pushing a little bit. Was that from SMCI? Was that around the same time? It was right around the same time. So Dell's loving it. I mean, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but why did the bottom of the memo say from Dell on it? I don't know if they sent that one out themselves. Not sure. Suspicious, but look for resistance on this one somewhere around 130.61, I would say. A little bit of a retest gap, nothing too crazy. This one probably fades, I think, at open, so look for like 126.60, somewhere in that zone. Let's see what else we got. We got Affirm. Affirm. That one is kind of just chilling for now. Pre-market, you're down 7 cents, so nothing too crazy. You do have some earnings coming out on this one, so watch out for that. November 7th. For a day trade, you're still kind of just chopping. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, essentially 5 days inside the zone. Would be a fun spot to bounce. You did get a pullback. You are buying a dip if you like a firm. I thought they had some news that came out not too long ago. And then essentially you're back to that closing price. Well, we got the bounce yesterday off that closing price from the last earnings they had. So you're not too far off of at least the results of the last earning, but they're gonna have to produce. For a day trade purpose, it is still technically inside candle. You're down a little bit. I'd see if you can capture it if you want to try to go bullish around 42, 42. I'm not quite sure where the range is on this one today, but I'd be looking for like a 43.83 unless this market wants to actually participate in a bullish direction and we get some buying throughout the day. But I think that would be the high end of a firm for today, 43.83 zone. All right, Amazon, AMZN. Why am I terrified on this one for earnings? $200 was a significant. I know their earnings are tomorrow after the bell, but significant sell spot. I At least reportedly that's where Jeff Bezos was selling a lot of his shares. You got a monster dip down. Otherwise, Amazon's a strong company. Consumer confidence was through the roof on that report yesterday, so that again, that should help Amazon, I would assume. You didn't really see too much really reaction until later in the day on Amazon. But pretty decent gap. Still retest. I'd see if you get a little pullback on this one. Maybe into like this 193.25 to 192.71. You have a little bit of initial room to bounce higher. 195.40. If you could break through that, there's a couple of the spots of resistance, but I think ultimately you're probably looking for this 199.60 zone uh into earnings, but this is a retest gap. So maybe if you get a high wave candle that we could take advantage of, let's put this one higher on the list. But I kind of want some selling to come in first on this one. Otherwise, decent looking gap on that one. We got Meta. Meta. Yeah, I think this one probably fades at open. Again, this is also going to be a little concerning. They probably do well on the earnings, especially being that their main revenue is advertising. And we just got through, trust me, swing state. I've seen every commercial possible numerous times, and they repeat like one after another. So there's definitely a lot of money spent on advertising this last quarter. Meta will do pretty well off that. Snapchat did well. What worries me going into this earnings is now you are gapping into an all-time high. I do expect the earnings to be good, but maybe this move is already kind of pushing the envelope for the sympathy from Snapchat. So I think this is more than likely there's going to be profit. Like if you're sitting at all-time highs right before you report earnings that come out tonight, and you don't even have to sit through the earnings and find out what actually happens, and you got in especially a really good price. I think there should be some profit taking on this one, so I'd see if you could probably play it to the downside. I don't know how far we go, but I think you have a room at least back to 589.39. If you're interested bullish, I'd see if you could kind of wait for that. Otherwise, I think you're jumping into earnings and those every single call option is going to be just jacked up out of the gate on this one as well. So I would take a look too. Later I'm going to check if there's divergence on this one. I'm going to see if there's a little daily divergence would be interesting. Actually, if someone could look it up now, that'd be awesome. All right. Coin. Thoughts on Coinbase. Bitcoin is resting. Let's go to Bitcoin first. BTC USD. So a little bit of a pullback on Bitcoin. We've had 1, 2, 3, 4 days from the start of this move. Really, I got to push it down to We started around 65, 498. We got up to 73, so that's about $8,000 move on Bitcoin without any pullbacks. So I think today is a little bit of a pullback resting day. Look for some kind of support on Bitcoin around 71, 199. We'll see what happens on that one. Um, if we could kind of hold that level. But I do think some volume comes in there. Longer term picture looks phenomenal. That is a great breakout. I think we do come up higher from here. So I think longer term we're fine. With Coinbase, they do report today. I do have a swing on it. I hit my target yesterday, but it was all pre-market hitting targets, and uh I didn't have the extended hours on, so I'm still sitting in it. I put my stop in, so I have a hard stop. I'll either make money or by the end of today, I'm gonna get out. My thoughts on heading into earnings on this one, again, it's already pushed. Bitcoin's up, so there's a lot of enthusiasm on it. I don't know if I don't know how this report's going to be because most of that last push just happened recently in Bitcoin. So I think a lot of the transaction fees and numbers from the move that just happened is not baked into this report. And you're sitting at a high bar. So I think they have an opportunity to miss earnings or come in line, something unimpressive. And then next quarter, you probably see the results from this last 2, 3 weeks in the next report. So I'm just looking to get out, take a game where I can, whether it's a market exit or we get some kind of rally. That's how I'm looking for it. But could this one beat clobber earnings, move up higher? Of course, last quarter we struggled a little bit. We missed earnings per share by 85%. So not great, but typically they have decent earnings. So I don't know what exactly happened last quarter, but they got absolutely demolished on that one when they were sitting pretty high as well. So we've had a good push. There is a lot of people profitable in here. I think I most likely just get stopped out at my 210.30 exit. For a day trade purpose, if you want to try to trade this, you do have a little bit of support. That's kind of why we threw the stops where we did. But a little bit of support could come in somewhere around 210.96. Struggling today. You got resistance at 213.78. If Bitcoin does bounce and we're getting close to that support, I think okay, there could be some hope. There could be some bulls ahead of this where we get that rally, which is why I'm just not taking market exit out of the gate. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, otherwise it's just kind of chilling. I don't think it does. I don't think I probably even hit my target today. We'll see what happens. But I'm this is not one that I probably want to hold through earnings. Kramer and Herbo tried to boost AMD. No results yet. AMD is not feeling the Lisa Su. The Lisa Su, Jim Cramer pump. Yeah, the only thing is you got that 52 right there, the 200 right there. All right, let's check out Google. Google Monster Gap. Monster Gap also technically a retest, and you got some resistance right above you. This market is a little bit crazy today. I don't know if we hit this 183.62 yet. We hit it to the penny. I guess if I don't know that bullish is the direction for me on this one, but if you could get any break of 183.62, that might get you your next leg up. Otherwise, it is tough to short this one today, but I think you have better risk reward to the downside, some profit taking than you probably do to the higher side. But we've consolidated for a decent amount of time on this one. This is a great gap up, even on a monthly chart where we're sitting right now. My guess is we have some resistance starting to come in. I got 183.45, the last little closing price of that monthly candle. So I think we're getting up there. I wouldn't mind seeing a little pullback on Google, and maybe we could play for the fade. It's probably not easy. Probably not easy. How would I play uranium? URA. I don't know if I would today for day trade purpose. I don't know if I would. I don't really have much edge on this one. We're gapping down 2 pennies, so essentially flat from where we opened. We did just make one new higher high, so that would tell me that we're probably still the bulls are there. As a swing trade, maybe looking for like some kind of entry above yesterday's opening price. I think your stop you want to keep somewhere below the 20, somewhere below that green candle. You get a decently tight setup on it. And then your 1.2 to 2 hours, one and a half, something like that. Might get you up a little bit higher. 34.53 if you could make one new higher high on this one. It's another one it has run already. So probably taking that 1.2, 1.4, something like that on it. But right now it's just hanging out. You do have some level of support down here. So if all that starts to break, that green candle starts to break, you probably just want to be out, see if you get a better entry. I think a little closer to 29.91, something like that. Corey says no daily divergence on Meta. Okay. I don't know. I'm a little suspicious of them. I think their earnings are going to be good. So somebody said SMCI, Dow said down 33. Santilla says 15. Did it bounce back at all? Yeah, we're still down like 15. Still down like $15. Was it down 33 at one point? I don't know if it got down to 33. Oh, 33%. Got you. Uh-huh. I was like, man, that really picked up. All right, yeah, Reddit, Monster Quarter. Again, this is I don't know, valuation on this one is just crazy. It's not they're not a new company. You guys all heard of Reddit before. I can't figure out how they make any money, to be honest. But about selling some. I don't know if I would sell some in the money cover calls on SMCI. I just don't kind of like anything about it until that report gets cleared. So you're gonna make some money, yeah, by selling, but I don't know if I would take that approach. I think there's so much fear going on right now that it's just tough. But otherwise, that is the morning bell. So you guys on YouTube land, make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe button. Otherwise, we got to discontinue. We'll watch SMCI, some other high flying stocks today. We'll see what happens, but make sure you guys hit the like and subscribe.